Welcome back, everyone, to the Suit Yourself Podcast, part of the Finish First Media Network team. My name is Austin, co-host number 1, joined tonight by fellow co-host number 2,
Brandon.
Today is November 16th of 2020, the year of terrible. We'd like to thank everybody once again for joining us tonight for the recap show of Week 10. A very exciting week.
I love recapping.
And Brandon, just so you know, everybody can see you eat right now.
Yeah, I know.
So, okay, just making sure that you were aware of the camera we were using tonight.
It's the flavor blasted.
I know many of you might be missing our triple camera setup, which we have not used in a little while.
I know I am.
We will be moving back to that at a very short date.
As soon as we figure out what went wrong.
We are having some technical difficulties / no time to fix it. Well, by no time, a new Call of Duty came out.
Call of Duty came out.
What do you want us to do? This isn't my full-time job.
No.
Prestiging is. Brandon, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How about you?
I can't complain. I haven't left the house for like the 1,000th day in a row as usual, but
Tell me about it.
doing what I can.
I guess I went to work today.
I mean, I left yesterday, but
Yeah,
it's
fair
a lot. It feels like I never do.
No.
We would like to start today's show by just reading we saw reports or tweets, whatever you want to call it, of Antonio Brown.
Breaking news.
Yeah, he seemed to be trending a little bit. The official ESPN report.
Is this for a good reason or a bad reason?
Oh, I thought it was kind of a funny reason, but it's not good. When was the last time Antonio Brown trended for something good?
I can't believe it. He seems like such an upstanding citizen.
So, report per ESPN, Antonio Brown allegedly wrecked camera but wasn't charged before joining Tampa Bay Buccaneers is the title.
Do we have any more details on this?
I'm just going to read the first sentence, a couple sentences here. Antonio Brown was accused last month by the community in which he lives of destroying security camera and throwing a bicycle at a security guard on October 15th, citing a police report. The Hollywood, Florida police decided they had probable cause to charge him with criminal mischief and a misdemeanor. But it looks like the president of Hollywood Oaks Homeowners Association declined to press charges. Shout out.
Good for them.
So, I don't think this has anything. This seemed
They
like
probably just didn't want to get involved. Like, the amount of nonsense that's just orbiting Antonio Brown, or that has been orbiting Antonio Brown for the past couple of years now, is just absurd.
I was just really confused what the point of this was. Like, why,
why throw a bike at somebody? Like, what's that going to do?
Well, I more so meant, like, a bike's actually a pretty solid weapon.
I guess
anyway.
Technically, anything could be a solid weapon.
But I don't get what the point of this, like, article is. It's like,
I think it's the NFL just found out.
But yeah, but he didn't get charges pressed, so nobody pressed charges. So I don't even think
No, that's what
legally
I
it doesn't
get.
matter. So it's like, what's the point besides just, hey, give us clicks for everybody hates it.
Yeah.
It's the meme of the two hands,
Like,
media or NFL. It'd probably just be fans and media, and hating Antonio Brown would be in the middle.
I'd say the league hates him too.
Is there anybody that likes him outside of Tom Brady?
I don't think so. He's just annoying.
Whichever fan base he is currently on. So that was just something we wanted to start the show off with. The exciting news. We don't think that means anything to anybody, but just thought it was kind of funny. But that being said, we're going to start with the recap of Week 10. Just a reminder, we will be back on Wednesday with a breakdown, a preview of Week 11. We will also go over some injuries on Wednesday. I was not prepared to do it today. So
That's all right.
yeah, full disclosure. So, Brandon, which game would you like to start with this week?
How about the Thursday night game? The game that lost me some money.
Colts Titans. It was funny because Brandon, I'd come to the TV set late. I'm going to call it a TV set because I want to.
I was feeling good.
I had come home late from grocery shopping, and Brandon was talking about how much money he had and how much more he should have bet on the game.
It was 17-6 at the time.
Within 3 minutes, the Colts had managed to, the Titans had managed to punt the ball 6 yards.
Yeah.
That's hyperbolic. It was probably 15. Kick it 15 yards and get a kick blocked for a touchdown. So it was an incredible flip of a game.
That was honestly,
I have not seen the likes of that in quite a while.
It's honestly one of those games where, like, I watched it and I still think the Titans are significantly better.
Titans just giving up 21 consecutive points.
It's just the way that it happened was two of the biggest anomalies back to back in a row, where you sit there and you're like, well, any normal game this wouldn't happen.
I'm sure I'm missing one, but have the Titans lost the last 3, or is it the last 3 or 4?
Yeah, I think. Wow, I can't talk. I don't think it's been 3 in a row. But
I've said the last couple weeks, I've been on I've been on record saying this. I just don't. I think the Titans are fraud.
I still think they're significantly better than the Colts. Like that one punt that went 10 yards that was from the end zone out of bounds. That's a free 7 points. So that one boneheaded mistake that never happens. And then what are the chances a punt gets blocked
In
for
fairness,
a touchdown? That's like a 1 in 1,000.
I would like to say that I do think the Colts are a little bit sus as well, but
yeah, it's just
they play the Packers this week, so it'll be interesting. I think that's a big game.
And because late in the game they took that big lead because they scored 14 straight in the span of 20 seconds, Tennessee had to kind of give up their whole thing. They had to stop running the ball. They had to try to play catch up, but they're not good at that. I still think the Colts are not nearly as good as the Titans.
So the last 4 weeks, the Titans lost to the Steelers, they lost to the Bengals, they beat the Bears, and they lost to the Colts.
So yeah, 3 out of 4.
Notably, they did beat the Bills, obviously, in that massive blowout.
That was another one of those games where it's like these plays shouldn't be happening, but
they beat the Vikings by 1. They don't really have like a good win, honestly. I mean, I guess. Oh no, I'm sorry, that's not fair. The Bills win's a good win.
Yeah, it's a good win.
I would say obviously the Colts win's probably a good win, but that one felt really. Or I'm sorry, they lost. That should have potentially been a good win, but obviously it wasn't. So, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about them, but I guess that has nothing to do with fantasy.
I think they gave the Steelers the biggest. They were the biggest threat to the Steelers thus far this season in the game the Steelers played. Granted, the Steelers haven't beat a single division leader yet, so they haven't beaten anybody either.
The Titans make you nervous because they're the team that if they play their style of football and don't let the game get out of hand, they have a very good chance.
In striking distance.
It's usually a good chance of winning, and Tannehill is clutch enough that he can usually do it. If you remember, there's just a lot of teams in the past that just have been consistent quarterback away from being able to do that, but. Derrick Henry, 9 for 103, no touchdowns. Or 19, for 103.
It was a good game. Not a great
Tannehill,
fantasy game.
15 for 27, 147 yards and a touch.
This is easily his worst game this season.
Yeah, they rushed the ball more than they threw it, 32 to 27. So, I mean, it was clearly they were just trying to establish the run. And
the rookie, Jeremy McNichols, too. I know he's not going to get much work because of Derrick Henry, but he's been very good this year.
3 for 26 out of him.
He's averaging, I think, almost 7 yards a carry this season. Granted, he hasn't rushed much, but still something to note.
Yeah, he's pretty solid. Corey Davis, 5 for 67 on 6 targets. A.J. Brown, breaking my heart, 1 for 21 on 4 targets. So
yeah, that was tough for me.
I mean, thanks for catching it, I guess. That helps. Johnny Smith, 2 for 14 on 6 targets, which was tied for the team lead with Corey Davis. So really, I mean, like we said, he had 15 completions, so there wasn't much to go around here. Indianapolis defense is low-key kind of good. Phillip Rivers, on the other hand, 29 to 39, 1 touchdown. Nyheim Hines led the day on the ground, 12 for 70 with a touch, 5 for 45 and a touchdown through the air. I played against him in a dynasty league and was not loving it. Jordan Wilkins, 8 for 28, so you were hoping for a little bit more out of him. Jonathan Taylor down there,
7 for 12.
So
there's one thing, really one main takeaway from this game, and that's the running back situation in Indianapolis, and I really don't know what to make of it, but I think it's worth noting.
Yeah, I think the most important takeaway probably is going to be that Jonathan Taylor's not what we thought he was going to be.
Which sucks because I picked him in 2nd round in my dynasty.
Well, it's not even saying he's never going to be that, but it's
disappointing.
He's very apparent he is not the guy which we all thought we were. I mean, I even remember a couple weeks ago trying to trade really heavy for him in dynasty, and now it's like, oof.
Yeah.
But Pittman Jr. led the way in the reception, 7 out of 8 for 101. Nyheim Hines, 5 for 45 and a touch. I already read that one. T.Y. Hilton not doing much. I know he's been a little banged up. 4 for 40 on 5 targets. Zach Pascal, 4 for 33 on 5 targets as well. So, really wasn't much of a, it's a pretty bland game in terms of total yards or passing yards, especially. I mean, we had less than, what we have, 44 total completions, so not.
Speaking of blah games, how about those Bills Cardinals? That was not a blah game at all.
I like how you jumped to the 3 o'clock game. That was kind of
it's the next on the list.
That was a wild jump there. I was watching that game live when the end happened, and that
hurt.
That was crazy. Not only did Stephon Diggs beat me with that touchdown in a league, but it didn't end up mattering. So that was nice. That was one of those plays that, on every YouTube highlight, compilation.
We'll see it for years to come.
Yeah, for the end of Till I Die. That'll be on every, the best game-winning catches of all time.
This just shows how poor the Buffalo Bill rushing defense is.
I thought we were going to take a chance to diss Bill O'Brien with the way to trade DeAndre. Okay.
No, but I mean that's old news. We all know he's
Josh Allen, day.
He was fine.
32 for 49, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions.
Yeah, the 2 interceptions is bad, but he also had a receiving touchdown, so he technically had 3 touchdowns.
Can I say that Kyler Murray played a lot better?
No. Because
22 for 32, 1
without
touchdown.
that super lucky 60-yard touchdown pass, which is a 1 in 100, he would have had like 190 yards.
1 touchdown, 1 interception, but 11 for 61 and 2 touchdowns on the ground.
I don't care.
Josh Allen, in fairness to him, was 7 of 38 on the ground as well.
Yeah.
Clearly not as good as Murray, but
They don't draw run plays up for him anymore. It's just more like, oh, you're gonna get sacked, you better run it.
So a lot of people think Kyler Murray now is like one of the top MVP candidates. I still don't buy him being incredible.
I think he's a better Lamar Jackson.
I'm dying on a bad hill here. This is going to be one that history is not going to look back on my takes well with this. But
I think he's fine. I think he's playing like one of the better quarterbacks. But to say that he's a leader in the MVP, I think is ludicrous.
he is. It is
quick.
incredible though. Like watching him run, he doesn't get touched. Like I don't know.
He's actually could throw the ball further than 5 yards. So like it's really something.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, if this is only a second year, which I mean,
He'll be good.
I mean, I get that Lamar hasn't played that much either, but clearly Kenyon's a better passer.
I guess what I was saying, I got derailed. It just shows how bad the Buffalo rush defense is. They made Kenyon Drake look like a Pro Bowler. They made Chase Edmonds look like the man, and then they made Kyler Murray look great, which Kyler Murray looks great every time running. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, bad day to be Kenyon Drake. 16 for 100, no touchdowns. Well, Kyler Murray, as we mentioned, got both of them. So
gave up 20 yards to Kenyon Drake on a run, 28 to Kyler Murray, 25 to Chase Edmonds. You just can't do that.
They were just hemorrhaging yards all over the place. Really, the only thing worth mentioning, I would say, on the Arizona side of the ball, DeAndre Hopkins, 7 for 127 and a touch.
Yeah, but that's a given.
Outside of him, I mean, Christian Kirk had 6 targets, but didn't really do anything with them.
There's really nothing much on the Bills side either. I mean, obviously, Cole Beasley's good, but we've been saying that for weeks. I mean,
team high 13 targets, 11 for 109 and a touch. Stephon Diggs 10 for 93 and a touch on 11 targets, and even John Brown 6 for 72 on 8 targets. So
Dawson Knox 2 for 3. That means he only had the ability to drop 1.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are probably guys you're thinking about rolling out every week anyway.
Yeah,
so
that's why I meant like there's
nothing crazy there. As far as the rushing totals,
Bills can't rush the ball.
I think this is a strong avoid.
Yeah,
Josh Allen and Zach Moss tied for 7 carries apiece.
They just can't do it.
Yeah, Singletary got you 4. So it's I would try not to start them if possible. Zach Moss and Singletary both were 1 reception for Moss -3 yards, Singletary -5 yards.
It's terrible.
So
speaking of terrible, how about those Houston Texans falling to the Cleveland Browns? Well, 10-7.
This was one of the big win games.
What do you mean?
There were a couple windy games. Like this was one of the windy games.
I don't care. I don't care if it's a blizzard. If you put up 7 points, you figuratively drop the ball.
It was 3-0 until the fourth quarter.
That is horrendous. And this is something I don't get. And I know Nick Chubb ran out at the last second, so technically it should have been 17. But the Browns put up, let's see, over 350 yards, and they end with 10 points. And they didn't turn the ball over. How does that happen? And I know he ran out of bounds at the end, so it's 17 points on 350 yards and no turnovers. 17 on 350 and no turnovers is nothing. Like, how did they do that?
It's crazy they're rushing, though. 41 rushes to 20 attempts on the passing.
Yeah, and it's just because, like, if you're going to get 5 yards each time, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Nick Chubb, 19 for 126 and a touch. Kareem Hunt should have been 2. Kareem Hunt, 19 for 104. So I thought it was kind of weird that they both got 19 touches.
I think honestly Kareem outplayed him. It's just that one like Chubb had a bad game until he had that one run.
Yeah, but
and then it saved him.
I would say though that if you want to say that, it's just Kareem hasn't done much when Chubb's been gone.
No, I'm not saying he's better. I'm just saying he outplayed him this game.
They definitely help each other. But that's a lot of touches. I would say, especially for the first game back for Chubb, that bodes well for him that he was able to get 19. So
Kareem also led the team in catches or tied for the lead, which is something to note. This Texans team honestly pisses me off.
I would not trust anybody on the Browns receiving core.
No,
just for the record.
And
not that you probably are.
I wouldn't trust a single soul on the Texans team, just in general.
Brandon Cooks, 6 for 39 on 8 targets, and Will Fuller 5 for 38 on 8. I think
Maybe,
that's just again a little bit. There was a lot of wind going on. Deshaun 20 for 31, 63 and a touch. There's really not much to say. I think that
the problem is
Cooks and Fuller are good plays, and Cobb's an okay flex. Duke Johnson's probably your primary ball carrier, though. 14 for 54. Him and Watson were the only ones to make the stat sheet.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even if you say, who's going to – nobody got a touch. No other running back
David
touched.
Johnson when he comes back. But
He's on IR with that concussion.
he's on IR?
Yeah.
With a concussion?
Yeah, so that's not good.
How's that even possible?
Well, because
Like brain bleeding? It's
not great.
That does not sound good at all. It's weird though. Like
Brandon Cooks is one hit away from that as well.
yeah, if you have a quarterback who's perceived as a top 5 quarterback, I don't think he is, but he's perceived that way.
Oh, come on. Look at the
No, wait. No, I'm just gonna. If you have a quarterback who's perceived as top 5, I don't care how terrible your team is, you should put up more than 7 points. Like you've got to.
Texans are just
It's not like the Browns are a defensive savant. Like they're no good at defense either. They give up like 30 points a week.
I cannot believe the Browns are 6-3.
Well, when they're playing teams that put up 7 points, it's kind of hard not to.
I'm gonna bet the hell out of the other team they play in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I hope they're favored.
Speaking of favored, I finally found some favor with the Detroit Lions this week. They finally didn't let me down, but it certainly looked like they were trying their damnedest to. They barely hold on at the end. They had a big lead at the beginning. I believe they were up, I think it was 17-3 at halftime, and then they
were
only ended up winning by 3. Alex Smith actually looked really good until the end of the game where he just fell apart.
I don't know what the heck happened on that last drive.
He
got bailed out by so many penalties.
Yeah, and he was throwing the ball like 5 yards behind everybody
or
straight
in
into the
front.
dirt.
It was just embarrassing.
Stafford had a good bounce back game. He's had a couple of dingers, and he finally had a decent game.
What do you think of that Antonio Gibson line? 13 for 45 and 2 touchdowns rushing?
That's garbage.
I thought you might appreciate that.
No, I was too busy focusing on J.D. McKissick's 8 carries for 6 yards and a touchdown.
It is pretty wild, though.
Oh, man.
It is pretty wild that Alex Smith had...
J.D. McKissick had 15 targets. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, he's been a really good play. I have him on my roster, and
Just
he's
because of
solid every
sheer
week.
volume, he's not doing anything with it. If you get targeted 15 times and have 43 yards, that's not good. Granted,
Well, they're
8
probably
passes
all
were
dump
missed.
offs. But
8 passes were missed.
they're
but-
not exactly the New Orleans Saints. Alex Smith, it's pretty wild, though. 55 attempts, 390 yards, no touchdowns.
Yeah, that was weird.
That is pretty wild.
Granted, a guy who's averaging 0.8 yards per carry got a touchdown, so chances are he was on the goal line.
Say what you want. I think McKissick is probably a pretty good play every week. I think he's at least
It's
a
just the
RB2.
sheer volume. I think DeAndre Swift is emerging as like a league winner at this point, which I know.
Yeah, I'd agree. His passing work is always really good. He does a lot with the
And
targets.
even
he
look
gets.
at the carries right now. 16 out of 21. Like he's taking over the backfield. He also essentially averaged the same as AP on 4 times as many, which is difficult to do. Had almost 70 yards receiving and a touchdown on 5 targets. He's really looking nice. TJ Hawkinson really let me down this week. I needed points, and of course he couldn't do it.
Ugh.
He only targeted him 4 times too, which is a bit bizarre. It was kind of a weird game because Amendola and Hawkinson were essentially the top targets with Galladay gone, and those two just kind of kicked the curb this game. So,
do you like Marvin Jones moving forward? Do you think he's a good
No.
play?
he was nothing with Galladay around once Galladay comes back.
But if Galladay misses more time, do you like him moving forward?
Maybe as a flex play for a week or two, but
10 targets, that's a lot.
it really is. Those should have been Hawkinson's.
How about Logan Thomas? Anything to say about Logan? Do you think he's a good play weekly? 4 for 66 on 6 targets?
He had a nice touchdown this week, didn't he? Was that somebody else?
No, he did not.
Okay, that's somebody else.
I plugged him into a lineup this week. It was very helpful.
I honestly don't, just because he's a tight end, I guess, which I guess tight ends aren't very great, but I still really like him just because if we look at how often are we going to see Alex Smith throw for almost 400 yards?
I think quite often, to be honest.
What?
I think he's better than anything they've had.
That's not saying much.
Yeah, but that's the point though. Is like how many times were you expecting, insert the blink to throw?
I don't know. I'll have to see it a couple
Plus,
more
I don't
games.
think they're ever going to be in a situation where they can't, they're comfortable enough not passing. If that makes sense. I think Alex Smith might even be an okay, more so 2 QB league, but he might be an okay play. I don't think he's going to throw for 390 and no touchdowns again.
Yeah, it wouldn't kill you.
But unfortunately, not too much to say here.
Speaking of not too much to say about, the Jacksonville Jaguars fall to 1-8 after having a relatively large lead against the Packers last week. which Jake Luton, 8 for 35, 169 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick.
It's not good.
It's not good at all.
DJ Chark also let you down quite a bit. 4 for 56 on 5 targets. I mean, honestly, everybody kind of let you down.
All things considered, for 169 yards total, he had a good game.
Keelan Cole, 5 for 47 and a touch on 7 targets. Of course, Chris Conley led the team in targets, who I was playing, but only 4 for 43. So
As somebody who owns Gardner Minshew in Dynasty, these past couple weeks have been very good for me because Jake Luton has not looked good.
They have?
Yeah, Jake Luton's looked terrible. And at least Gardner Minshew looked pretty good.
I think most people probably consider Gardner Minshew.
Rodgers looking left, throwing end zone.
We'll see. But it's just Jake Luton should be his backup if these weeks have taught us anything.
It is funny, though, on the Jacksonville box score, James Robinson is the only person listed. 23 for 109.
Yeah.
He's the only guy
good.
Only guy who rushed.
Aaron Jones had another stinker of a game. His receiving kind of bailed him out. But even with that, it was roughly around 10 to 12.
13 for 46 on the ground. 5 for 49 on 6 targets through the air there.
Yeah.
Valdes-Scantling leading the team.
I don't care.
In yards, not...
Valdes-Scantling is not good. Devontae Adams, another... It was like a kind of a floor game, it seems like, for him. If he's in the game, he's going to get at least... No, that's what I mean. He's going to get 60 yards.
8 for 66, a touchdown on 12 targets. You're dismissing Valdes-Scantling, who now has 3 touchdowns in the last 2 games.
I couldn't care less.
4 for 149 and a touchdown.
If you want to start a guy
targets.
who will get you 15 points on about a 20% chance or 0, go for it.
All I know is I've started in the last 2 weeks in the league, and he has paid off dividends.
Yeah, all I know is I've played him
I think he's more of a coin flip. But
I've played him like 3 times this season, got burned
his
all
entire
through.
game, I mean, his average this game was 37 yards.
Yeah,
I mean,
good luck
he's a
with
boomer bust. Well, no, that's who he is. It's like the Deshaun Jackson. You're either getting 20 points or 2 points. There's really no in between. So I think he's a good high, ceiling guy that if you just I really need points this week, he's a good guy to toss in there. But if you're looking for a safe floor, I'm trying to avoid. But
I heard I read an interesting report. I forgot. I recently saw. It was that actually I'll bring it up on the Cowboys game. Actually, the Cowboys they're on bye. Never mind. Cancel.
Oh,
moving forward to the Eagles and Giants. I guess it revolves around this. It was
real quick. Do you think the Packers just had a bad game, or they played down to the competition, or do you think they're bad?
I say this about all the teams with winning records, but at 7-2, I don't have much faith in them. It just
is what it is.
Yeah, I don't believe much in them.
Fair enough. What's our next game?
Eagles and Jacksonville. I guess this quote: Mike McCarthy did notice there was more pep in the step for the players, and he isn't sure if it's because the Giants were able to beat Philadelphia this week. That just shows how low the Cowboys have sunk. If the Giants win a game, has got pep in their step.
Somebody who Mike McCarthy used to coach our team. I don't miss him. But.
No, he couldn't coach his way out of a paper bag.
Carson Wentz did not look good. 21 for 37 on 208 yards.
No.
He's just been looking bad. Somebody who just traded for him in Dynasty.
There's no time, but at the same time, there's no way in hell he should get outplayed by Daniel Jones.
Well, this was supposed to be the big return week because Goddard's back. They had, I believe, they had a couple other guys. Was it? I don't remember. I think somebody else was supposed to come back. I mean, Alshon Jeffrey was targeted, so he was back. Rieger
was targeted.
I mean, it's something. He hasn't been playing, so.
Travis Fulgham, my goodness.
The 1 week I played him.
1 catch for 8. Come on. Like, I was stuck starting him, TJ Hawkinson, and AJ Green because of buys. And let me tell you something. AJ Green will never see the field on my team ever again. But we'll say that for the Bengals. Daniel Jones had a really nice touchdown run, which he's very quick. Wayne Gallman, a few things just to note. Wayne Gallman's terrible, but got bailed out by 2 touchdowns. Alfred Morris is actually
He's not a terrible fantasy player.
Well, 18 for 52.
He scored. I'm just saying he usually puts up decent numbers.
I just mean he's a bad player. I don't think he's any good. Miles Sanders, when they give him the ball, is fantastic. They just don't give him the ball, which makes no sense for a team that has no offense. There really isn't a ton to get from this. I mean, Darius Slayton, I guess, had a decent game, and Sterling Shepard was okay. But
I would say worth noting, Evan Ingram only targeted 3 times, 2 for 15.
Do you see that catch he had? He was out of bounds, but
he's been making nice
he's
catches
reached
lately.
back and just caught it one-handed, and he stepped out of bounds, though.
Neither quarterback threw a touchdown or interception was kind of wild.
It's even more wild that Daniel Jones didn't throw a pick, but yeah, I agree.
Also wild, Richard Rodgers led the team with yards, 4 for 60 on 5 targets. Never a good thing.
Yeah, somehow Richard Rodgers can get 8 times as many yards as Travis Fulgham.
That's not good.
No.
Miles Sanders, this was his first week back in quite a while, so that's something that was good. 15 for 85, so he was looking fine. Unfortunately, got vultured essentially twice. Boston Scott, I guess the Boston Scott one we're not going to call vulture, but 3 for 63 and a touchdown. Corey Clement, 1 for 5 and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's trash.
Could have been a lot better day for him, but he was coming back from the injury, so I would expect bigger things ahead for him. But still, nice showing for being hurt. So,
yeah, that's about it. I was gonna make a nice segue, but I had nothing. So I guess we're just moving on to Tampa Bay and Carolina.
Bridgewater was hurt. He is week to week with the knee.
Okay.
Well, that hurts a lot of the receivers if he's out. As sad as that sounds.
It really doesn't, because DJ Moore's 38-yard touchdown, he threw behind the line of scrimmage.
What, you think P.J. Walker is going to help?
I think P.J. Walker could throw the ball behind the line of scrimmage.
I don't think he's any better than Bridgewater.
This entire season, I haven't seen Teddy Bridgewater make one impressive throw yet.
Oh.
That being said, this week I played against Ronald Jones in 2 leagues, and thankfully he had the second longest touchdown rush of all time. The 1 week I played him, 192 yards and 1 touchdown.
Tough week for those Fournette owners.
As I said last week, or it was last week or 2 weeks ago, I think Ronald Jones is significantly better than Leonard Fournette. And clearly the 23 carries to 8 is indicative of that, at least this week. And it wasn't only that Ronald Jones found so much success. I think Leonard Fournette just found nothing, which certainly doesn't help him. He had a 14-yard run in there and still only averaged 2.4 yards per carry, which isn't very good.
On 8 rushes.
Yeah.
Even more not good.
It was a weird game. I mean,
how do you feel about Mike Davis?
I hate Mike Davis. No, I don't hate him as a person.
Come on.
But
Mike Davis is pretty solid.
As a Christian McCaffrey owner who's watching everybody else reap the benefits of Mike Davis, I am a bit bitter. He's fine. He's fine. Play him if McCaffrey's hurt, even though this week he didn't do much. He's been good in the past. Yeah, there's not a ton to add on this. I mean, Antonio Brown looked good. He had a really nice catch in there, like around his it was a weird over the guy's shoulder catch. Didn't find the end zone.
I believe he played the least snaps too, but
he still got 7 targets.
Most targets.
I am worried as a Chris Godwin owner. He was the most productive receiver, at least yards wise, but he only had 6 targets. Which of the big 3, there was 25 targets between the 3 of them, and he got 6 of them, and that's not good.
6 for 92 for him, 6 for 72 and a touchdown for Evans, and 7 for 69 on 8 targets for Antonio Brown.
I alluded earlier that it's a weird game because Mike Evans was actually targeted a lot and got a bunch of yards.
Gronk looked okay. He was 2 for 51 in the touch. So I mean, Gronk doing Gronk things.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he's still a pretty good weekly play. DJ Moore finally did something for us, 4 for 96 and a touchdown. It felt more right for Curtis Samuel. 3 for 4, no touchdowns rushing, and 3 for 8.
So sick and tired of that Jets
with no touchdowns in the receiving game. So it felt a lot more right, if that makes sense. Robbie Anderson, 4 for 21 on 6 touches, so down game for him as well. But I think, depending on how Bridgewater looks, I think that they're going to be a little bit more back to normal. I don't think Mike Davis is going to do this 2 weeks in a row if McCaffrey can't go. So
yeah, I heard he's not going to go.
Yeah, probably not. Especially the more they lose.
Speaking of not going and losing, how about those Broncos? 12 points
Broncos are so bad
against the elite Raiders defense. Excuse me.
Everybody looks awful.
I'm not gonna lie.
Gordon looks awful. Drew Lock looks awful. The offensive line looks awful. The defense is awful.
Yeah, there are no.
Jerry Jeudy's probably the only.
It is an endless tunnel. There is no light at the end of it. How do you let a team that's had 150 passing yards score 37 points on you in 2020? This isn't the old school league where everyone ran all over you. It's embarrassing. If Derek Carr had an off game and they beat you by 25, that's unacceptable.
Yeah. Josh Jacobs, 21 for 112 and 2 touchdowns, and then Booker, 16 for 81 and 2 touchdowns.
Things have gotten so bad in Denver that they're giving Royce Freeman touches. That's how bad things have gotten there.
Yeah, and then on the other end of the ball, you have their former Booker just killing it. Judy, 4 for 68 on 8 targets. I think he's still playing with a lot of fervor on that side, which is always good, but that team is just, Tim Patrick, 4 for 61 on 6. KJ Hamler led the team in targets, 4 for 50. It almost just looks like no matter what they do, it's not really going to matter under the current system.
It's inevitable. They're just even horrible.
Noah Fant managed 7 targets, but was 3 for 18.
I was so high on them too before the season. My eyes are good. They look good.
I was
sleeper team, dark horse.
No, they were the team I really wanted to put the money on. And I'm sure you mentioned it, but Philip Lindsay only 4 carries. What's going on here?
Granted, when you turn the ball over 5 times to the other team's 0, that's how the point differentiation happened. But if you also turn the ball over 5 times in a game, you're not a good player.
Well, yeah, that's not good. Nelson Aguilar finally came back down to earth, 1 for 8, no touchdown.
Actually, started this week.
Darren Waller led the team 3 for 37 on 5 targets.
This is how bad things are in Denver.
154.
Josh Jacobs in 2020 looked good, but he's looked bad.
Yeah, he's had moments where
he has not looked good, and he looked really good this week. So I think that's just how bad
Denver is very bad.
Things have gotten. Yeah,
it's weird they would. They were. If they would have won today, it's weird to think they would have been 4 and 5. They feel a lot worse than that.
They don't deserve that. The Raiders 6-2 or 6-3.
I do not trust the Raiders, but good for them.
No, I'm happy for them. Yeah, they at least show up and they play their game, and they don't they're not stupid. They're a smart team. They don't turn the ball over a bunch. They don't make dumb mistakes. They just go out there and play. And if they win, they win. If they lose, they lose. And they at least, like this game, all they had to do was not mess up. And they didn't mess up, and they blew them out. So I'm happy for them. Speaking of happy for, I'm not happy for Justin Herbert. Because it seems like no matter what happens, he loses.
Reminds me of a Linkin Park song.
Yeah, in the end, it doesn't even matter, man.
He tries so hard, though.
And of course, this was the one game where Herbert's averaging over 300 yards per game. If he would have had his normal production, he probably would have won this game. So it's kind of on him, I guess. But
that's not fair.
No, I know. He was. If you were just to play up to the huge expectations and huge standard he's already set, he could have won. Is what I'm saying. I don't blame a rookie for only throwing for 200 yards. It's just
not even 20 for 32, 187, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception.
I think it also just shows how good that Miami defense is.
Yeah, they definitely are.
They're good. I know 187 2-to-1 ratio isn't shutting a guy down, but for a guy like Herbert, it kind of is.
Tua, on the other hand, 15 for 25, 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. So he's been fine. He just hasn't really been forced to do too much.
He's kind of starting to get a little overrated in my book, just because everyone's I've seen people on Twitter. Legitimate news sources saying, is Tua better than Herbert? It's all right now. It's because he's winning.
Herbert did have a rushing touchdown I wanted to add.
Okay.
It's Tua, 6 carries for -1 yards. That's really weird.
That is. But, yeah, I think people are just overrating him a bit just because his team is – the Dolphins are not a bad team. Mm-hmm. They're not bad. So, plugging in a relatively average quarterback – I know he's a rookie, so being an average quarterback as a rookie is really good.
There were some weird things – I'm sorry, did you want to finish that?
I was going to say, so, I think – if he were to start losing, I think a lot of the hype would die down. But yeah, Kalen Ballage.
A lot of weird stuff with the running backs this week.
Not really, because Joshua Kelly's terrible and he played terrible.
No, but Kalen Ballage, who they just picked up, 18 for 68. And then on the other side, Salvin Ahmad, 21 for 85 and a touchdown. I played against
Salvin Ahmad in the league, and he dropped 15. I was so mad.
Was he? I didn't think he was. Since when did he get declared the number 1 back?
I don't know. I just saw S. Ahmad. I'm like, who the hell is that?
I thought it was DeAndre Washington, and then I thought it was Matt Breida. I didn't even know this guy was in the mix.
I know it sucks.
Yeah, I know Ballage's yards per carry is not that good, but both. Pretty good effort by both running backs.
Well, especially because name one running back who's looked good on the Chargers this season.
Most definitely not Josh Kelly.
No.
That is for sure. It's just a weird game. Keenan Allen, 3 for 39 and a touchdown on 7 targets. Mike Williams, 2 for 38 on 5 targets. Ballage managed to get 5 receptions on 34 targets. Or 34 yards on 6 targets, excuse me. Hunter Henry, 4 for 30 and a touchdown on 6. They got a lot of guys involved. Even Jalen Guyton had 4 for 24 on 6. So getting a lot of people involved, but nobody really doing anything. 187 total passing yards, like we mentioned, so not very good.
Speaking of weird games, did you watch the Seattle and the Rams game?
I'm trying to remember. I think so.
16-23. The Rams take it.
Oh, you didn't even mention that Devontae Parker only 2 for 31 on 7 targets.
That's okay. But yeah, the Rams actually won. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. And I think this goes down to Russell Wilson just wasn't good.
The problem is that they were only winning because he was playing MVP level football.
I was about to say that. That's exactly what I was going to say. Is he was playing so well where they'd win. But now if he has an off game or doesn't have an MVP-like game, they're going to lose.
He was sacked 6 times for the record.
And he's pretty mobile too, which is not good.
22 for 37, 248, no touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. So wild game for him. Did go 8 for 60 rushing, though, which is very helpful.
And yeah, the Rams just seem to go as Jared Goff goes. I mean, yeah, he had no touchdowns, but 300 yards on 37 attempts is not bad in the slightest. I was fortunate enough to start Malcolm Brown in a league, and he had 8 touches and 2 touchdowns, so it was like the most bogus 20 points I've ever seen.
Are you including receptions with that, too?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's...
But yeah, Cooper Kupp again, like 50 yards is fine, but for the expectations we had for him this season, he has been pretty disappointing. Like you and I both expect him to be a top 10 at least.
This was just a weird game. I mean, Josh Reynolds led 8 for 94 and 10 with 10 targets. Higbee had 6 targets. Robert Woods had 6. They really moved the ball around a lot. And
I think a lot of his problem too on Cooper Kupp is that he's only had 2 touchdowns. Like usually, like by this point, they have like 6 or 7.
A big deal with him, I know that was brought up, was that he was questionable, if you remember, with the wrist. Mm-hmm. And I think there were moments where he was holding the wrist and,
That's been on the season.
But no, I get what you mean. I'm just saying for yesterday, though. I mean, it's pretty unusual that Josh Reynolds would ever be leading a team.
No, nor should he. To a win, mind you, which is even more astounding. But yeah, Jared Goff just hasn't thrown any touchdowns this year. I'm pulling.
He just hasn't been that good. He did lose a fumble yesterday, though.
He's only thrown for 13 touchdowns, which I guess ranks 18th, which isn't horrible.
But for what they normally do, the offense is normally pretty good. I mean, Seattle's defense is horrendous.
I honestly think Jared Goff's a tad underrated. Just because
I think he's overrated.
He's on track for almost 4,500 yards and 23 touchdowns. That's not a bad season at all, but we keep saying, oh, he sucks. Oh, he's no good. Blah, blah. If you throw for 4,500, 23-11, that's a fine season. Yeah, it's not great.
What's fine mean? He also has Sean McVay and really good offensive
weapons.
Well,
no, but we always, like, at least when I always speak up, I'm like, oh, he's sucking this year. And I mean, if we think about it, he's really not. Like, is he being a little disappointing? Yeah, maybe. But
he's not playing anything that he's not playing any. Like he's not playing well to lead a team. Like he's like you'd be like, oh, that'd be a good stat line for like Gardner Minshew, not Jared Goff. I mean, he got paid. Jared Goff got paid. I just don't think he's very good.
Speaking of not very good,
whoa, you can't just not address the Seattle receiving. DK Metcalf 2 for 28 on 4 targets.
Yeah, I think it's just
Tyler Lockett 5 for 66 on 9.
I just think Russ struggled, and when he struggles, they struggle. Obviously.
So let me ask you some questions. How do you rank the Seattle receiving going forward and the Rams going forward?
DK and then Tyler. Those are the only 2 I really care about. And I'd still do Kupp, Woods, and then Reynolds. Tyler Higbee actually showed up, and we forgot to mention 60 yards for him. That's a godsend. So that's fine.
No touchdown though, but his picture on the ESPN, he looks like a No Neck Ed, a younger No Neck Ed. If you've ever seen him,
I know who No Neck Ed is. I'm pulling it up. Yeah, he kind of does.
He looks like a really young No Neck Ed.
No Neck Ed is like the world. Oh, I have no respect for No Neck Ed.
Whoa, for Tyler Higbee or No Neck Ed?
No Neck Ed.
Okay.
Speaking of a lack of respect, I have a little bit of lack of respect.
No Neck.
Yeah, speaking of No Neck, we have the 49ers coming up here. Sorry, my screen froze. I'm trying to pull up the game. 49ers against the Saints. We had a little bit of Jameis action this week.
It looks like we're going to get more, too, because Drew Brees has a punctured lung.
I love watching Jameis do well, which I know I haven't been able to see much of it.
Did he do well? 6 for 10 for 63 yards?
Him seeing the field is him doing well this season.
Oh, well, that's not really fair to him.
But what I mean is, just in general, I like seeing him do well. And I pray he does really well this next week. I don't like the Saints at all. And for whatever reason, I kind of cheer against him. It's practice Taysom Hill. But
it's because of Drew Brees. Because we don't respect Drew Brees. It's because we don't respect Drew Brees.
This could be a problem for the rest of the league. Like, what if Jameis comes in and balls?
The problem, though, is
They got a problem.
Their
Jameis-
offense functions on short stuff and like competence, where that's where I'm nervous that Jameis is not going to function well. Because
It's 6 for 8.
Drew
or
Brees,
6
I
for
think,
10.
was the 31st or 32nd downfield thrower based on like
Yeah, it's
attempts, and Jameis was first. So I'm just saying, like, that's a huge shift coming into your offense.
And they might be able to retool it. Oh, and how about Jordan Reed? He drops the 8-yard week, so everyone probably dropped him, and then he shows up and drops 62 yards the next game.
if that guy never would have got hurt, I know you could say this for a lot of people, but he would have been so good.
Imagine if Jet never got hurt. 18 carries for 32 yards, 1.8 yard per carry in the Shanahan running scheme. That's essentially like averaging -5 yards per carry.
Terrible game for the
Everybody
Saints
involved.
defense isn't bad, but 25 for 49 collectively rushing.
Brandon Ayuk, is the only person who showed up and played with a pulse this week. Nick Mullins just proving
Also
again.
had 14 targets, 7 for
Yeah.
75 and a touchdown on 14 targets.
Nick Mullins proving yet again that he is a not good football player.
Austin Walter, not somebody you usually want to see in the starting lineup.
Taysom Hill fumbled the ball twice and lost one of them. The most Taysom Hill thing of all time.
The Niners are they're kind of just toast at this point.
Yeah, I
They're,
don't blame them.
they couldn't overcome the injuries, and I mean, I don't think
They're missing their top.
Garoppolo's even good, but
I think they're missing their top 2 running backs, their quarterback. They're missing their best receiver. They're missing their tight end. Like, they're missing literally everybody.
Mostert's good. He's just never going to play more than 5 weeks in
Yeah.
the season, it seems, or whatever, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever.
What are you thinking about Taysom Hill coming in there at quarterback, getting sacked, and then having 8 rushes with 2 fumbles?
I don't get the point of him. I think he's much more of a hindrance than a help at this point.
It's literally like hey, you guys want to burn it down? Like, hey, you want to lose the ball? Yeah, let's give it to Taysom.
There has been some talk, though, of Alvin Kamara being a potential MVP candidate. He was 8 for 45 on the ground today, 7 for 83 and a touchdown.
He's 8 for 15
receiving.
He's 8 for 15 on the ground.
8 for 15.
Yeah, you're looking at Taysom.
Oh, I'm
Hill.
sorry. I was looking at Taysom
Yeah.
Hill. I apologize. With 2 touchdowns. Also 7 for 83 and a touchdown through the air.
He's a fantastic receiving back. Don't get me wrong, but I'm tired. Like, the MVP, people need to pump the brakes on the MVP. Like, I have a friend who was posting he was posting on Twitter 3 total touchdowns. He's the best in the league. First off, touchdowns don't make you good.
Well, they can't.
They can, but when you have 8 carries for 15
causation is
yards,
not always
when you have
correlation.
8 carries for 15 yards and 2 touchdowns on the ground, you did nothing for those touchdowns. You were there. You showed up.
Oh.
So his receiving 7 for 83 and 1 touchdown is very nice. I'll give it that. But when people are like, 3 touchdown game, potential MVP, it's like, no. Like, come on. Like, let's be real.
Well, just to switch up here. I'll switch you up. How are you feeling about the receiving options? Because outside of Kamara, Michael Thomas, 2 for 27.
I don't like it.
Emmanuel Sanders, 1 for 5. Jared Cook, 0 for 0.
I don't like it. But at the same time, first, I don't have to.
Well, is there hope? Are you down on with Jameis in there? Are you more excited or less excited about
I'm
this
more,
offense?
I'm more excited.
So are you more excited for Kamara? Because I don't know if it's possible for him
No.
to. So you think it hurts Kamara, helps everyone else?
I think it really helps guys like Michael Thomas. It really helps guys like Traquan Smith and even Jared Cook, because Jared Cook's good for big plays sometimes. I think this hurts Kamara a bit, unless for all we know, Jameis could have been under Drew Brees, being in this new system. Maybe there's like big, hey, just tone it down.
This will also be his first start where he can see. That's a narrative that many people have not brought up.
Yeah, he
He did not have
he was
contacts
legally blind
until this offseason.
I think that, like, for all we know, like, I bet a guy like Jameis could put in and say, just make the quick slant and throw the running back if you need to. He could do that. So I think they'll be fine.
As somebody who had to get contacts, I don't know how the hell he was throwing downfield.
Well, I mean, if you saw his accuracy, it probably explains a bit.
No, I'm saying though, like, how do you throw a 40-yard, 50-yard pass to a receiver when you like? It's hard to describe for people who've never had to wear glasses. Like, it's
The legend continues.
everything is blur. Like, I don't know how this dude was throwing 50 yards to a window.
I saw Jameis win the W,
Wow.
and I was here for it because it was. That was against the Bucs. Excuse me, against the Bucs.
New Orleans is where he belongs.
Yeah, I like seeing him do well. Speaking about doing well, the Steelers put up 36 points, which is fantastic, and the Bengals only put up 10. It appears as though Joe Burrow, if my screen would load, sorry, I'm running a Chromebook.
Oh no,
Maybe if you leave a like, we can get a better budget, and we can get the. No, I'm just kidding. I have a way better computer elsewhere. We're frozen. If you'd like to take over.
Oh no, are we gonna have to do a hard restart? What's going on over
I don't
there?
know what's going on. There we go. Joe Burrow was able to throw for 213 yards, and somehow none of them went to A.J. Green.
Now, did you even mention the game score?
Yeah, 36-10.
Okay.
And none of them went to A.J. Green. A.J. Green targeted 5 times with 0 yards. I sat on my couch and went to work on Sunday and still ended with the same amount of catches and yards as A.J. Green without making the millions of dollars, which is a real shame.
That Pittsburgh defense is rough, though. They gave Joe Burrow a rough day, sacked him 4 times. He was only 21 for 40 for 213 and a touch.
If Samaje Perine can get 7 yards, I expect 7 yards from A.J. Green.
Yeah, nothing in the run game. If you tried to get fancy and start Gio, 8 for 30. So nothing going on there. He did have 4 for 17. Not that that's much of a saving redemption there.
No.
T. Higgins, 7 for 111 and a touch. Tyler Boyd, 6 for 41. That was on 8 targets and 9 targets, respectively, to T. Higgins.
Those are clearly the guys you should start. I am dropping A.J. Green the second waivers
Incredible
clear
that you've
tomorrow.
kept him this long.
It's because of injury.
You've kept him 10 weeks.
He's the only guy who's remained healthy.
How many points does he have through 10
He has
weeks?
like none. I've started him. I've had to start him because of injuries every week, but 2.
I'm just saying-
the 2 weeks I didn't, he had double digits both weeks.
In the
I've had
same
single
week,
digits every
in the
other week.
same week that you have him, I picked up Jacoby Myers 2 weeks ago off with no fab.
Well, again, I didn't expect Kenny Galladay to go down with an injury.
But through 8 weeks, you expected.
And see, no, I have
How many yards does he even have in 10 weeks?
316, which is next to nothing. He's on track for 560 with no touchdowns.
And I just don't understand how you haven't got rid of him. To this point.
I keep getting. I was going to drop him. Then he had those 2 double digits in a row. I'm like, oh, let's go. That was a couple weeks ago.
Oh boy.
And then I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna play Cole Beasley. But then I saw that the Steelers' pass defense gives up a lot to receivers. So I'm like, you know what? And I think Cole Beasley's going against a good one. I'm like,
jeez.
I'm gonna go with A.J. Green one more time. 0.
Yeah, it's not something you like to see. That's for sure.
Ray McLeod had more yards than him.
Speaking of having yards, though, Ben Roethlisberger, 27 for 46 for 333, 4 touchdowns. On the end of those touchdowns, Deontay Johnson, 6 for 116 and a touchdown, 11 targets. Juju's 9 for 77 and a touch on 13 targets. Chase Claypool, 4 for 56 and 2 touchdowns on 10 targets. That dude is just a touchdown monster, by the way.
Yeah.
But really nice showing for all the receivers there. Who do you think's the number one? Are we still saying Deontay's the one?
I think so.
Juju had him out targeted, and
out-catched.
out caught, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, whatever you want to say.
Out received. But those two are kind of, I would say, the forefront, and Chase Claypool is like the very close third who scores more.
I'm still not high on Juju. I mean, he's still not even on track for 1,000 yards, and
Yeah.
he hasn't had an injury.
I think this is his last year. I'm interested to see what happens with his free agency.
He's one of those guys that's fine. I think people only really care about him because he's a nice, charismatic, funny guy.
He'd be, well, no, he's good, but
Yeah, but it's like the whole Chad Ochocinco. I mean, he was really good, great. Like, he was really good, don't get me wrong, but he's viewed as a legend because of who he is, not because of his play.
Well, his play was very good, though.
It was, but like everybody knows who he is. Like, he's a bigger name than Terrell Owens. But Terrell Owens was much better than him.
I'm trying to think. Oh, I don't think he's more known than T.O.
He's up there.
I think they're about the same.
Well, either way, T.O. is better than him, and they're both as notorious as each other.
Juju, though, he's the kind to me that he's the like perfect number 2. Like, if he went to the Packers, I would be loving it. But if like Deontay or Devontae Adams left and we got Juju to replace him, I would be hating
sweating.
it. Yeah, if that makes any sense. But James Conner, kind of a rough day for him. 13 for 36. And then through the air, he was 2 for 12. So didn't really do much of anything. And Ben Roethlisberger managed to stay intact for an additional game. So that's good.
Good for him.
Yeah, he always seems like he's going to be done for forever every other week. So praying for his safety. Eric Ebron let you down 2 for 38. But
Speaking of letting people down, we have the Baltimore Ravens only scoring 17 points against the New England Patriots, who aren't very good. Jacoby Meyer with a nice 24-yard touchdown.
this is the part where we get to say that Lamar's overrated again. He can't pass.
I look forward to this every week, and this was honestly probably his best passing game.
In fairness to him, though, the rain was a major issue.
Not for him. This is his best game all season.
24 for 34, 249, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, yeah, but
The thing that kills me is
11 for 55 on the ground.
this was, again, I've said this before in the past. Basically, the Ravens can't beat good teams. I'm not calling the Patriots good because the good teams aren't stupid. Like, if you don't turn the ball over against the Ravens, and if you just do your thing, you're fine. Like, New England didn't turn the ball over, which means that Lamar didn't get the ball inside the half. Like, when the other team, when their defense doesn't just stranglehold the offense, they struggle.
Yeah, the Patriots usually don't commit those errors. They don't have penalties.
No.
They don't mess up the special teams.
It's just, if you want to beat the Ravens, I've come to realize you just can't turn the ball over. You can't be stupid, which I know that might be a given, but like they won the turnover battle this week and they won the Patriots.
One thing that's kind of wild is there were no fourth quarter points scored. No first or fourth quarter points.
I don't know who Matt Skura is, but he fumbled the ball for Baltimore 3 times, and all 3 of them got recovered. I think he's the kicker.
Not something you want to do.
No, he's a center. Excuse me, the center. So he probably threw it past Lamar or something. Okay.
Cam Newton, 13 for 17, 118 and a touchdown.
He woke up feeling dangerous.
I mean, he was. Well, I mean, his numbers are fine for how many times he threw. They clearly were going with the run game. Jacoby Myers, though, 1 for 1. He had the 24-yard touchdown
with the perfect
QBR
and
throw.
Perfect passer rating.
I believe, as everybody's going to mention, he was the former quarterback.
Wow.
He's a converted quarterback. So
Devin Harris is really good.
Who?
I'm sorry, Damian Harris is very good. I lament the fact that I had to drop him.
I don't.
Yeah.
He's been rushing well for my team.
I had to drop him because he was on IR, and then everyone got hurt. I'm like, well, I need space. And then Damian Harris is really good. He's going to be an interesting player next year. I could see him getting picked within the first 3 rounds, unless obviously a trade happens where New England gets a better back.
Yeah, a little bit of that too is going to be determined, kind of what they're doing at quarterback. But I think, like to your point, regardless, I think he's going to be good.
He's averaging almost 6 yards.
But what
a carry.
about Sony Michel? You just can't kick an asset like that to the curb. That was a joke.
I was going to say, Sony Michel is ineptitude personified on the
Cam Newton
field.
also did have 11 carries for 21 yards and a touchdown. This was just one of those like classic awful games that just everybody played decent defense and the rain played a big deal. Gus Edwards led the team, 7 for 42 outside of Lamar. I'm talking for running backs. Nothing for J.K. Mark Ingram in his return, 5 for 5. So
that's a tough backfield.
Yeah, you really don't want to own any part of it, I guess. I still am going to hold that for right now, Gus Edwards is the guy you want, but I don't think that means much anything. Somehow, Willie Snead managed to get 2 touchdowns on 5 for 64 on 7 targets. Mark Andrews had a good game. Somehow didn't get touchdowns, 7 for 61 on 9
probably his career
targets.
High for yards.
No touchdowns. This year probably honestly is. He normally does a lot of work. Hollywood Brown, 2 for 14 on 6 targets, so that's just not happening.
No, we might get another angry tweet one of these days.
My dynasty team cries. Yeah. I just want him to get traded. They don't deserve to have good wide receivers.
Who's to say he's good?
I mean, I think he's good, but what do I know?
As we haven't, in my opinion at least, we haven't seen enough to really know.
The real star of the receiving, though, Rex Burkhead.
Goodness.
4 for 35 and 2 touchdowns.
I played against him in my dynasty league. Somebody started Rex Burkhead and got like 30 points.
I needed the 30 points, and I did not play him, unfortunately. Jacoby Myers, 5 for 59 on 7 targets. I think he's the number 1 pretty easily going forward.
It's not saying
James White continues to just be the most worthless player in the history of football. So
I hate it too because he seems like an okay guy.
I think he can have success if he goes to a different team. I don't think he's like washed. They're just not using him like they
Rex
used to.
Burkhead has 6 touchdowns this season. He's on track for like 11.
Well, his deal is that every year he always does really well like that. He just always gets hurt. Right? He just hasn't been hurt.
He has like 400 yards and 6 touchdowns. That's nonsense.
I mean, I'm just saying though, if you look at his like history, like that's what he does.
I forgot Rex Burkhead was on the Bengals though. I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's kind of a weird player. It's just so odd to see a white guy running the football reasonably well.
Yeah.
I mean,
with moderate success.
After the age of 25.
Yeah.
Sorry, Peyton Hillis. Or whatever. I don't know what age he made it to, but
yeah. I watched a video on him on the fall.
Super weird game.
Very interesting. But yeah, it was a weird one. I love seeing it. As we all know, I'm a big Baltimore Ravens hater. But I love seeing it because I
don't think they're very good.
It literally just comes down to they are going to blow out teams that turn the ball over a bunch. Like any good team, but their defense is so good they can do it more. Yeah. Like when they blew out not the Bengals. I'm stumbling over everything. The Browns. Browns turned the ball over a billion times. And so they put up 40 points, and Lamar Jackson has 100 yards. And like, well, look how great he is. It's like, no, it's
Yeah, whenever you get him behind and don't make mistakes, it's going to be extremely difficult for him to do anything about it.
and the run game wasn't dominant either. And if the run game's not dominant for him, then
I mean, when you're, I wonder what his career high passing numbers are. I don't think he's thrown over 400, has he?
I'd be shocked.
It's just going to be near impossible to, for them to ever come back, just given, what he does.
Let's see.
Well,
365 was the most he's ever passed for. I think it was his first game last year. That one game where he was like unstoppable. And everyone's like, he's the greatest thing ever. And then since then, he hasn't done much.
He's
But
been pretty quiet ever since.
it's not bad for running back. And then, they didn't do anything. I noticed he wasn't saying those not bad for running back jokes when he threw for 97 yards against Kansas City this season. But I'll just mind my business on that one. But
Oh boy, I'm nervous right now.
why?
So I'm playing. Obviously, by the time this goes out, this game will be over. But the Vikings-Bears game is at halftime, 7-6 Vikings.
oh, jeez.
Allen Robinson has 6.4 points, and I am up less than 11. It's about 10.5.
If he gets one touchdown, you're done. Because if he gets a touchdown, we
Well,
know
yeah,
he's going to get the catches. He just need like 4 catches and 20 yards,
Yeah,
which he
so
could easily do.
I'm
in
a
half.
little nervous right now, but
I'd say it's a 50-50 that
I think
gets
he
it.
needed 17.2 or 3 to beat me, so I'm a little nervous.
At this point, it's a 50-50.
With Nick Foles, you never know. Like I said, it's halftime, so we'll see.
Towards the end of the game, he starts airing it out too, though.
Well, it depends how much they're down too, though.
And will somebody please explain to me why Cordero Patterson is the leading running back on the Bears?
Oh wait. Oh, it just updated. Last play, Dan Bailey kicked 69 yards from Minnesota to Chicago 4. Cordero Patterson returns 104 yards.
Oh my goodness, it's just uploaded.
Yeah, he just had a 104-yard return.
He's apparently the starting running back this game. This is wild.
But he did on a kick return.
No. And Lamar Miller is in the game? Oh my goodness. Lamar Miller got 7-yard catch.
What team is he on?
He's in the Bears. Good for him.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Free Lamar Miller.
Didn't he get hurt last year? Didn't he
Yeah.
tear an ACL like week 1 or something in the
I think it was
preseason?
training camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, I felt for him.
Because he had 1,000 yards the last season he played.
Close to, but yeah. I think he was like 950.
Oh,
but-
okay. Yeah, fair enough. Well, that's an interesting one.
Yeah, he's the starting running back. Apparently something happened to Montgomery.
Wonder
Oh,
when
he had a concussion. That's right.
wonder when the last time he returned a touchdown was. This is good though. This is good.
One less possession for the
Allen Robinson.
and they have a lead, so they'll run the
If
ball
the
more.
Bears just need the lead and just run the clock out. This is
Run
good.
it out.
This is good. How mad would you be if you were playing against Cordell Patterson?
Oh, I'd be furious because Cordell Patterson's not good at football.
Well, he's okay, but
He's
you
literally
should never.
Taysom Hill. Like, hey, maybe we could run. He's like, hey,
He's
Wait.
just such a good athlete.
he's not very good at running back. He's not really good at receiver, but we're gonna force him into both of them and say he's both. Like he can receive and run. It's like, no, he can't. He
Stupid
can do
last
neither.
second closing item. I discovered today that DeAndre Hopkins played basketball at Clemson as well.
Wow. Did he play against Jimmy Graham?
No, apparently everybody said he was quote unquote cheeks in the comments,
That's funny.
but they also loved the Kobe 5 or Kobe 2 colorways he had. So
for him, okay.
that's our synopsis of DeAndre Hopkins playing basketball.
The important information.
Yeah. But anything else you wanted to add on this week's episode?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, we'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to the Week 10 recap show.
You've been beautiful.
Can you believe that it's already Week 11 next week?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'd like to thank everyone for, or I guess tonight. No, never mind. I got confused. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in to the recap show. We will be back on Wednesday, 2 nights from now, with the preview show for Week 11. So everybody, until then, have yourself a great couple days here. Stay safe.
Where can they find us, Austin?
Oh, not this again. Just find us on here. I don't have the heart
Sue
to tell.
Yourself podcast on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. If you're watching this video, leave a like. I know you wanna, but if you're not watching this in video form, make sure to go to YouTube and to Suit Yourself Pod. That's Suit Yourself Pod on YouTube, and you can see our beautiful faces as we do the show twice a week.
The website will also be updated next week, as I don't work next week. So
You know?
no.
Oh, all week, all Thanksgiving.
I don't know what I'm going to do because I have like 10 or 12 more vacation days I have to use before the end of the year. So I
don't know. If
Yeah, it just sounds rough.
I don't know if I'll even be able to use them all.
Oh,
but
shoot.
We'll
I
see what
just
happens.
paid to not work.
I didn't. Well, they gave me. I have 2 days off for free next week.
Oh,
I
man.
know it's gonna be a
I have
little
too
rough.
much PTO.
Well, I think I've taken 1 day before this week, this whole year. So
probably should have.
yeah, I really should have thought of that beforehand. But
could take it on last Friday off.
what do you do? I know I should have for Call of Duty.
Yeah, I've been lit.
Oh well. But anyway, enjoy the rest of your day, night, evening, morning, whatever. Please don't get sick.
Just social distance. Wear the mask,
Okay,
people.
no,
It's
we're done
not.
now.
It's not difficult.
Goodbye, everyone.